Okay, so a very good evening to everyone. And first of all, I would like to welcome you all to our platform Hexenbit. And I hope you all will be going to learn a lot of new things in today's webinar. And the topic for today is data analytics using Python. So, just a request to everyone, please try to make this session interactive as much as possible. Like I'll be asking in the queries in between. So whatever you know about a particular topic, whatever the query I'll be having, so you can just try to answer up to the best of your knowledge, right? So don't hesitate in sharing whatever knowledge you have about a particular thing. So either through chat or either through unmuting yourself, you can just try to answer up the thing, right? So let's discuss the agenda for today first. So we'll be discussing about what is data analytics, then the types or the classification of data analytics, the broad classification, I would say, then the applications of data analytics, means the area where data analytics is currently being used. So we'll see some of the aspects of it, though it is limitless in the present, I would say that each and every field is having one or the other form of utilization with the help of data analytics. Then we'll also discuss about the steps involved in data analytics process. The major steps, like you may have some different sort of answers for it if you go through internet, but we'll talk about the major steps that are generally involved. And then we will see what are the popular Python modules used for data analytics. And then we'll have a case study as well. So we'll see a bit of pandas in a later on half, as well as we'll try to have the case study of a e-commerce platform sales where we'll be having a data set related to electronic sales, and we'll try to bring in some insights from the data. We'll do some code over it. Right. So let's begin with this. Anyone having any idea what do you mean by data analytics? Any one of you? What do you mean by data analytics? Any idea to anyone? Means if even if you break out these terms, data plus analytics. So what comes to your mind after hearing such thing? Anyone from the audience? I hope I am audible to everyone, right? Okay, Shamik getting insights from the data. That's great. Anyone else want to add up to what Shamik has said? Okay. So considering it like I hope many of you might be new to it. So keeping the things to the agenda of the thing, so we'll be discussing about all these topics as a perspective of a beginner's level. And then when we'll be discussing about the case study, I'll be giving you some insights if you already have some background related to data analytics as well. So data analytics is a process of exploring and analyzing large data sets to make predictions and boost data driven decision making. Right. So this is a main, I would say in one line, if we want to define about data analytics, is it's a process of exploring and analyzing large data sets to make predictions and boost data driven decision making, or like as Shamik said, that getting insights from the data means we need to analyze the data, we need to bring in some logical reasons supporting our statements. Means whatever we are saying about a data that, okay, the mean sales or the XYZ is the amount of sales done in a particular month, or if I want to tell that how many of the people out there have done some sort of a fraud in the past related to transactions and all, or what sort of a pattern could be there to detect the fraud analysis, then all that sort of a thing, means whatever statements I'll be bringing out, I need to have a evidence in support of it, right? So data analytics allows us to collect, clean and transform data to derive meaningful insights. So we can collect the data, we need to clean it, and then we can transform the data. So we'll discuss about these 3 points in the further session, that how these three things are important for us, and it helps to answer questions, test hypotheses, or disapprove theories. So if anyone is related to analytics or mathematical background, more regarding towards the statistics and all, they would know about what hypothesis is. So in general, we bring in some, like we take a sample of a population. Like let's say there's a population out there in which there are millions of people. So I cannot survey each one of them, right? So what we do is we tend to take certain number of people out there as a sample, like some thousands we can say, and then I'll try to do some tests over it. And if those tests are proven satisfactory with the help of evidence, then we can say that whatever facts we are trying to claim over this may belong to the population as well. So that's what, in general, hypothesis testing is, right? So data analytics will basically help us to bring insights the data, insights about the data. Now, after this, like even in this image, you can see there are different perceptions of it. Either you can draw the visual graphic out there to explain the story about the data, that how data is changing, and also here you would see different types of presentation of the data, visual presentation of data. Some of them might be bar chart, then pie chart is there, as well as some slopes and all you will be seeing regarding the KD or a line plot. Then after this, like in short, if we say data analytics is a process of bringing insights about the data, you will be getting a lot of data about you. And as a data analytics person, or the person who is dealing with the data, you need to bring in the insights about the data and present the story behind it. Because not everyone is there to understand how the numbers are varying and all. So you need to provide or frame a beautiful story around it so that you can easily explain the trends that are going behind the data. Then data analytics, it could be classified into three types. The first one is descriptive analytics. So descriptive analytics is something which is generally based upon the data that already been like that has already happened. Like for example, Hexenbit. So like we generally provide trainings and all, so different users comes to our platform and they purchase out the training courses and all, whatever skills they want to upskill themselves in. So if I talk about the data analytics, descriptive analytics from that perspective, so let's say I have a data related to 2022 2022. So what I can do is I can do a exploratory data analysis. Exploratory data analysis, you may always heard it as EDA also, in which we try to work over the descriptive part of it, like the mean, median, what is the average sales being done, or I would say if I want to find out which course was the most selling course, then I can find it with the help of descriptive analytics. So for an example, studying the total units of course sold and the profit that was made in the past. So whatever data is collected for the past and we try to dig in and bring in the insights about that is what descriptive analytics is. If someone is from data analytics background, you would have heard about a 5 point summary as well, finding the minima, maxima, then median and all. So that sort of a things where we bring in the insights about the data is descriptive analytics. Then comes this predictive analytics, which is more towards where we try to build up a machine learning model, you can say, or a model for the prediction purpose. So it tells you what will happen, means you have the current data with you, and then you are trying to make an insight about what will happen in the near future. So it can be achieved by building predictive models. So all the machine learning models that you see around, like linear regression for uh, predicting the continuous variable, then you have the classification and all. So that sort of a things may come under the predictive analytics as per the use case. So for an example, predicting the total unit of courses that would sell. Like for example, this is February 2023. So if I want to make a predictions about, let's say, how well my company is going to perform by June 2023, so I can try to predict a number of sales dependent upon the past data that I have. So I will do the some analysis over it. Then I may choose in some predictive models which can actually help me to predict whether the sales will be high or low. If I am just predicting whether it will be low or high or medium, I can say, then it would be a classification. If I'm trying to actually tell the number, let's say I'll be selling of 7,000 trainings by that time or 10,000 trainings by that time. So this could be a regression problem where I am trying to predict a continuous variable, right? Then comes this prescriptive analytics. So prescriptive, you can say it is a combination of descriptive and predictive analytics. And as we progress further towards the downward thing, the difficulty or the level of analytics also increases. Descriptive analytics is the simplest one, then predictive is there, and then comes is the prescriptive, which is a combination of descriptive and predictive. So it is generally done in order to improve the things, like it tells you how to make something happen by backing off with the help of the evidence that is going to support the statement that you will be bringing out, like finding ways to improve sales and profit of the company. So as a edtech platform, I have certain data available with me. I can actually find out the data, or I can find out the columns based upon it, or let's say some features that are actually going to help me to increase the sales. Like for example, I can just try to find out a pattern and I may predict, let's bring on a new course to our platform. It might increase the sales of my platform. Or if I increase the number of classes that are being provided to the candidates or the frequency of webinars. So that sort of patterns I can actually get with the help of prescriptive analytics. So these are some of the means some of the actions that would be taken in consideration to improve the performance of a certain targeted goal that we want to achieve. Right. So these are the broader classifications of data analytics. Then after this, the next one is area of applications. So first, before talking about this, I would like to listen it from the audience that where do you think the area of application is in terms of data analytics? Where do you find these things that are being used based upon data analytics? Any one of you would like to write it down or speak up? The area of applications. Yes, guys, any one of you?
Attendance.
Attendance. Okay, Divakar. So in attendance, what sort of a data analytics it would be, descriptive or predictive, or it could be prescriptive?
Descriptive.
So in general, if we are dealing with the past data and we just want to have a, let's say, the mean attendance, or if I just want to do the analysis that the average attendance of male candidates attending session is this, or female candidates attending this, or let's say the number of dropouts if we want to count out and all. So that sort of a things will come under descriptive. And let's say if we want to predict some future event, like in the month of March, the attendance will be XYZ or something, then it could become a predictive. And in case if we want to take some measures to improve the attendance and all, that could come under the prescriptive option. Very good. Credit risk management. Yes, Temito. So let's see some of the area of application. So I just brought in some common or general area of applications in this particular slide, but there is no limit to it, right? Means it is not just limited to the whatever the things that we'll be discussing in. It's outside that scope also. So if I tell you, data analytics is used in banking and e-commerce industries to detect fraudulent transactions. So as we said, like in the chat also, credit risk management. So in general, these days we know that there are a lot of things happening around us in terms of the fraudulent transactions and all. So as the digital source of things exchanging money and all is increasing, so there are increasing risk of things. So these days even like the banks and all are also building up the AI based systems and all. So earlier on there used to be a manual checking of checks and all, the signatures over the check used to be matched manually. But these days if you talk about the people working, data science people working in the banks and all, they are actually building up the systems and all that could actually match up the things and they could detect the fraudulent things. Aside from that, they generally analyze the pattern as well based upon how the OTPs are coming in and all that thing to predict whether a transaction will be fraudulent or not. Then after this, healthcare sector also finds a lot of applications of data analytics. So these days, you might see that there are a lot of tests being done with the help of this. A lot of predictive analytics is being done, like whether a particular patient is having cancer or not, diabetes or not, based upon the sample or a lot of values that they actually have around with them. Aside from that, we have an application in the form of inventory management also to keep the track of the different items. So this is something that we personally use in the company as well for our inventory management. Then logistic companies use data analytics for ensuring the faster delivery of products by optimizing the vehicle routes and all. So like for example, if I want to travel from A to B position, I have a position at A and I want to travel to B position. Then with the help of the analytics and all, I can find out the shorter way out there. I can try to improve the mode of transportation, as well as I would select certain mode of transportation which will actually end up with a better profit rate for me, right? Without spending much, if I could deliver the things at a faster pace, then I will be going ahead with that sort of a thing. So logistic companies are using data analytics to find a better way out to reach out a particular position. Then aside from that, like marketing professionals use analytics to reach out the right customers. So there is a great application of it in terms of the targeted audience. So these days we know that there is a lot of data getting generated and a lot of people are interacting out there. So marketing professionals are using it in a better way in order to reach out to the right customers and perform targeted marketing to increase the rate of interest for them. And this is not just the few things that are limited to it. There are many more applications of data analytics. You may name a term like if you talk about sports, data analytics plays an important role. These days, you would have noticed that whether it is FIFA, cricket, or any other global sport out there, so they have a respective team of data analytics with them who perform certain analysis on the past record of the players to find out their strength, to find out their weakness, or to form the formations during a particular set of a time so that they can bring in the strategies related to attack, defense, and all that sort of a thing. So there is no limit to the area of applications, I would say. Then aside from this, the next thing comes is the steps involved. Yeah, HR use it to manage churn of employees. Exactly. And these days, I would say this is the need of an hour, I would say. Right. So even during after the post-COVID days, there were a lot of people who were switching off their jobs and all regarding like whether they were getting some packages out there. So it was a quite hectic task for the HR managers to actually predict out the things that how many of the employees will be getting retained by the company and not. So great. This is one of the application again for HR analytics is the category under which it will come out. So talking about the steps involved in data analytics, there are primarily, I would say, the 5 steps involved in it. But in general, you can say there would be 6 steps. I'll tell you what could be the 6th step that will arise in this particular part. So why I'm not considering it? Because I'm taking it in general. If you are starting up with a data analytics, that particular step will already be out there. So that step is basically why. Right. So the first step is why, which is not a part of this presentation, but why means you need to frame the problem first. Right, it is not something you have the data and then let's say you have a data of a particular platform and then you are framing the question that okay, let's frame out a question that how I can use this data. No, you must have a problem statement in your mind, and after that only you should start with the second step, that is collection of data. Right, so the first step is why or framing of a question, I would say. Then the actually first step, or in this now you can say it as a second step, is data collection. So once you are able to frame the question that what is your problem statement, then after that you need to do is data collection. So now data could be available in any format. Like these days, you would have noticed that there are different type of AI systems being built around us. It may be based upon the speech, it may be based upon the image, it may be based upon a video, it may be based upon the CSV data we have, it may be based upon encoded data. So data collection is the first step. So in many companies, there are different data collection teams that work over this. The database management, database administrators, I would say, those who are particularly working over collection of data only, collection and managing the data out there. So some companies have separate teams, some companies they provide this task to the already assigned data scientist or data analytics team that they may collect some data first. So there could be different formats of data that could be available to you. So the first thing is once you have the question why or what's your problem statement, then you need to collect the data aligned to that problem. Now, after that, the second or the third point I would say is data preparation. Now, the data coming to you could be in different formats. Like we as a human can actually deal with images, videos, and all. But From a machine's perspective, we know that the machine is generally works over a binary code, 0 or 1. Right? It is not something that I'll send up a image to a machine and that image will actually be perceived as it is. There is conversion of data. So data preparation is the step. We need to bring in the data to the exact format according to which we can work forward. Right. So it is not something that we have a data in one format and later on we are trying to work over it with a different sort of a thing. No, we must prepare the data in alignment to the future steps that we are going to bring out there. So converting the data into right format, you can also call it as data wrangling. Then the next step is data exploration. So this data preparation and data exploration, these are the two most important steps of this cycle, I would say, because this is something that would take around 75 to 80% of a time of a analytical person that is involved in this job. So the analyst or a data scientist generally deals with these two things the most, or the most time taking things of this project cycle is the data preparation and data exploration. Now, data exploration is the point where we actually start asking the questions that why the data is behaving in a certain manner, or what are the facts about this data that could be taken into consideration while approaching the problem that we have framed out. Then after this is data modeling. So we could say the first three steps are generally involved as a part of descriptive analytics. Then data modeling is something which comes out to be the predictive part of it, right? Data modeling, this is the next step to build your predictive models. So if anyone has worked over the AI/ML models out there, so they would be having an idea that what we do is the first few steps are there first, and then we bring in, we separate out the data in the terms of train and test, and then we work out. Then the last step is once we are done with the predictions and all, then the predictions and all are generally in terms of labels or numbers. So whenever we bring this thing on the table in front of the stakeholders, like if you are working as an analyst in a company, so while working as an analyst, you cannot just simply produce the numbers or the labels out there to the stakeholders. You must prepare the things in a form of a plate, or I would say as a story. You must frame a story around it and you must tell it to the stakeholders so that it could be easy for them to understand those things, right? So in general, these are the visualizations and all. Like in the previous slide, you have seen the different charts and graphs. So we know that the visual representation is quite easy to perceive rather than the tabular format or this sort of a data. So result interpretation is we need to link up the things and bring in the insights in the simple words in front of the audience or the stakeholders. So these are the general steps involved in data analytics. So including this why or the question framing step, we have total 6 steps in this. Right? Any query, any doubt to anyone? Anyone wants to ask anything till now? Is guys any query from anyone's side? Anyone want to ask anything? Okay, so let's move ahead. Now, after this was about data analytics in general, that what is data analytics and some common classifications, how data analytics is used, and then the area of applications. And after that, we have discussed about the steps involved in it. Now let's talk about the popular modules for Python that are generally used for data analytics. Before that, can anyone tell me why there is a lot of boom around us in terms of Python? Like whatever we heard these days, whatever technology we say around, we always heard about Python related to it. So what are the general points that are supporting this thing? Any one of you? Why Python is at so much boom these days?
I think because it's user friendly.
Okay, use of memory. That's great. Like that is one of the point. There's a very good memory management, I would say, in terms of Python dealing with the data and all. Aside from that, anyone else want to add anything to it?
It is an
easier
open.
language.
Yes, one by one. Yes, Temito, you
Right.
can. Diwakar, you were
Okay,
saying.
let me come in. Because it's an open-ended application, meaning it at no cost.
Yes, so it is open source language. Anyone can use it over any platform, let it be Windows, Mac, any particular part. Diwakar, you were saying something?
Easy to understand language.
Easy to understand, right? So this is one of the main reasons that Python is so easy to learn. The syntax is quite similar to as that of a English sentences that we generally write out there, and also the things that could be done in more lines in other programming languages, we can write down those things in quite short or compressed manner in Python. That is one of the reasons that why developers are shifting towards Python. And another thing is a huge community support. A lot of people are working with Python these days. So if you stuck with any query, you just write it down over Google, you'll get an answer for it. Right. And aside from this, there are a lot of modules, or I would say the libraries are available. A lot of developers are developing their own libraries and they are providing it to the Python community for free of use. Like there is no constraint over it. There are a lot of things freely available. You can just go to those particular websites. You can use up those libraries for your project as well. Like let it be speech recognition. These days you would have heard about Chat GPT, which is actually gaining a lot of things out there, and there is a lot of noise regarding that. So Chat GPT is also allowing people to use out the APIs out there in their own projects and all. Right. So that is the best part about Python. Now, the popular modules that are used for analytics purpose, the first one that comes out to be NumPy. So NumPy stands for Numerical Python. It is one of the most used advanced mathematical libraries in which we generally deal with the data in the form of array or matrices. So all of you might I hope many of you would be from the engineering background. If not, even if you have dealt with any mathematical higher level mathematics, so you would have noticed that most of the data is generally deal with the form of matrices and arrays. So NumPy provides us that. Then the second one is pandas. So pandas, you can say Excel in Python also. So all the data analytics sort of a things is generally being done in the pandas module. So this is quite helpful and quite interactive module, means you can perform a lot of things with the help of pandas. Then the next one is SciPy, which stands for Scientific Python. It involves a lot of mathematical distributions like binomial distribution and other distribution, Poisson's distribution, all that sort of a distribution functions are already part of this SciPy module, and you can easily use that. Statistical modules and all, those are part of SciPy thing. Then we have Matplotlib. So as I told you that with the help of pandas and all, we can do the data analytics part. This Matplotlib is actually a module which help us to convert the data in the form of a visual presentation, visual representation of the data. Like if you have any tabular format of a data, you can actually convert it into graph and all with the help of matplotlib. Then another one is scikit-learn, which is very important and most famous library used for machine learning models and all. Like with the help of scikit-learn, you can create the predictive models, you can do the things related to machine learning aspects like encoding, training and test data, all that sort of a thing is generally done with the help of scikit-learn. So these are the most 5 common modules used for data analytics with the help of Python. Aside from this, if you move towards the higher end of AI, then you have TensorFlow out there that could be used to deal with different format of data and all. Right. So this was about the modules and all. Now we will shift towards the coding part in which we will see how this pandas could be used. So guys, one thing about these all these libraries is actually the documentation of these libraries. If you go through the documentation of NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, SciPy, and Scikit, all of them are really well written, and one can easily understand different aspects of it while going through these documentation itself. So you can always refer to the official documentation of these modules and you will get to learn a lot of new stuff from it. And I would say whenever you get stuck dealing with Python related things in terms of data analytics for a particular module, always refer back to the documentation, official documentation of these modules. You will be easily able to grasp the things out there. Now, let's move on to the coding part of it. Let me just share my notebook in which we'll see how we can use up the pandas and matplotlib section a bit. And then we will move, like we'll see a practice sort of questions out there. We'll create one own data frame and then we'll write down certain queries to bring out the relevant data from it. And then we will see about the sales data analysis also. So any questions till now? Anyone having any questions? Anyone wants to ask? If anyone is having any questions, they can ask in the meantime. And I'll just open up the Jupyter. Okay. So let me share my screen again. Okay, guys. So what I'm trying to do in this case is I'm creating a data frame out there, right? I am creating a data frame. So what data frame is basically when we deal with pandas. So in case of pandas, there are 2 types of data. One is series. There are 2 types of data structure. One is series. And the another one that we have is data frame. So whenever we talk about a single column, like for example, in this, you can see name, age, gender, stream, state. So here we have created a dictionary, and with the help of dictionary, I'm going to create a data frame. So name here, if I just consider name, it is a series here. A single column is known as a panda series. So series is generally a collection of a data, labeled data, I would say, which belongs to a same data type. Means all the data points in this will be of string type or integer type or whatever the data you may have. So all of them will belong to same type. Now there are different ways of creating a data frame. We are creating it with the help of this particular part, that is with the help of dictionary. So for pandas, as you know, for the importing part, we need to write it down as import pandas as PD. Import pandas as PD. For importing any module in Python, this is the syntax for it. Import module name and the alias name if you want to give. From matplotlib, import pyplot as plt, and then we have this particular feature available for Jupyter Notebook that when we write %matplotlib inline, it allows us to show all the graphs automatically without actually writing down the plt.show part. So anyone who has worked with data visualization, they would know that if you work in PyCharm or Python idle and all, you need to use dot show command in order to show that particular graph. But here you don't need to do that. So importing all the necessary libraries. Now after this, let's create the data frame. Students df equals to pd.dataframe. pd.dataframe is the command for creating the data frame, and here I will write down student. So let me run this first, and now I will create this data frame. It has been created, students df. So here you can see this is a data frame. If I just talk about a particular part, then it will be a series. So if I print type of students data frame, so you can see here pandas core data frame. Similarly, if you want to access any particular column, you can simply write it as students df, means the data frame dot. There are two ways of it. Either you can use dot operator and write it like this. Here you can see all the names are being printed. And if you check the type of it, then it will say that it is a panda series. Here you can see. So if you access any particular column, it is always a series. Data frame is basically a collection of series. When you combine two or more data series together, it becomes a data frame on common indexes. So on the left side, 0, 1, 2, 3, all this you can call it as index, and these are basically the column headers that you have available with you. Right now, in case if you want to access multiple columns or you want to access a particular one, students df, let's say I want to access name again. So this is the second way, square bracket, name of the column. And if you want to access multiple, then you can do it like this, students df name. While writing down this, make sure the spellings are same. Whatever spellings you are writing down here, that should match whatever is written at the top. Name, age, comma, gender. You can see I have accessed the 3 columns relevant to it. Now, after this, if you want to do some conditional indexing, you can do that also. Let's say I want to just grab out the data of male candidates from this. Then how we can do that is students df. Then there are multiple ways of it. In pandas, for performing a particular action, there are multiple ways. So you can always use any particular way you want and you can write it down. So in order to do this, let's say I'll be using lock command. Lock is a command which stands for label location. Means if you want to access the rows and column with the help of labels, then you can use lock. Another one is ilock. iloc is used when you use particular default indexes 0, 1, 2, 3 like this. In label, you will be writing down name, age, or if you have some labels here, R1, R2, R3. So you make use of labels out here. So students df dot lock square bracket, and here we will say students df dot gender equals to male, and then comma. I want to access all the values here. So here you can see this comma is because that is a syntax of lock. You need to write the rows that you want and the column. So here I'm not mentioning anything. That means I want all the columns. And for rows, I am saying for whichever the gender is male. So this is how you can do the conditional indexing in this. Similarly, students, let's say I want to find out the count of it. Dot gender, there is a command known as value counts. It will give me the value of females, and means it will give me the value of categories belonging to each of them. So here you can see there are 6 female and 4 males in this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 male and 6 females are there. Now, if you want to plot it, you can plot it too, like plt.bar. So matplotlib is used for plotting up male, comma, female. So these are the labels I am writing. And after this, I'll write down this value counts thing, because bar plot is generally used to show descriptive or discrete values. So value counts, comma, color equals, or let's make it like this first. This is for female. So here you can see the bar plot has been created, consisting of female and male counts. So this is 6. So here you can see it is 6 and this is 4. You can provide different color palettes also. Like let's say I want one for blue and another one for red. So I can do that also like this. And one will turn red, another one will be turning blue. So this is how you can use these things for analysis purpose. Let me just write down one bit of complex query combining two things. Students df dot lock, and in this I want to find out the students who belong to EC stream and their gender is female. So let's do this. Students df dot stream equals to EC, and after this, and students df dot gender equals to female, right? So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find out the people students belonging to EC and their gender is female, comma, for all the columns. If I run it, you can see only one female is there for whom the stream is EC. So here you can see the complete data. So EC, all these are males. And for EC, this is the only data that we have. So by doing this, you can get a answer of the query that you want. So if you want to do conditional indexing or the selective part, you can easily do with the help of this particular thing. So this is how you can use pandas and all. Now let me showcase you a case study where you can actually use a pandas in terms of dealing it for a sales analytics part. So I have one data set available with me, all data CSV. So this data looks something like this. You have a order ID, product, quantity ordered, price of each, order date, and purchase address. So you have a order ID, product name, how much quantity you ordered, price of each, date, and the address. So this is the electronic sales data. Now what we can do is I can showcase you how we can start up with certain problems. First, we need to frame out the things that we want to do on the basis of it. So keeping the time constraint in mind, I am not going to write down the codes for it. I have a pre-written syntax and I'll showcase you how it could be used. So importing all the libraries that are necessary for it, and then pd.read CSV is the command. So you can just go through the pandas documentation. If you just search over it, you can always go back to this particular part and you can simply do this. At the moment, you may be seeing some code snippet at the top. So if anyone wants to add on this thing, you can add on an extension known as grepper. And this grepper will actually help you to get all these things. So they whatever you search, you generally get a snippet out of it. So you can install that from the Chrome extensions if anyone is using Chrome out there. So this is the documentation of it, and from here you can just simply look for any command that you want, getting started with it or user guide and all, and you can just simply search over the things and you'll get the answer for it. So all how to read the data from different formats. The data could be there from different formats, so you can easily do that. So here we have the data in CSV file. So I'm trying to read it using read CSV. And this is how this data looks like. Order ID, product, quantity ordered, price each, order date, and purchase address. Right, so all these things are there in this. Now, after this, my goal for analysis is I want to find out in which month I have done the maximum sales. Right. So based upon such data, the questions that you can frame is which month you have made the maximum sales, which product was the most sold one, or which state is the one in which the most orders are placed. So that sort of a thing you can easily try to do analytics, because from a analyst point of view, these things like which product has been sold the most, this could actually help you to manipulate the price accordingly. The areas which are more like dealing up with the orders that you are getting from there, so you can implant some offers out there to attract people, or similarly where your demand is very less, you can give certain offers belonging to the people of that area, right? So in this particular case, we will be doing the analysis for the particular month to find out which month we have done the maximum sales. So for finding out the maximum sales done, what I have to do is I have the quantity ordered and price. For finding out the total sales, first thing is that I need to have the collective value of these two. so that I get the total amount of total amount for each order. Each order ID, I need to get the total amount. And then after that, I need to sum up the values on the basis of month. Here you can see I have date. So in this, the date format and all is mentioned. So I need to group the data on the basis of the month. So let's do it step by step. First thing is that we will try to see whether there is a bit of data and all. So this data cleaning and formatting, we'll try to have another webinar over it, how we can proceed ahead with the exploratory data analysis. Maybe in coming days, we'll have another session over it. What is exploratory data analysis and in-depth intuition of it. So what I'm doing is I'm printing the head of the data. Head means the first 10 values, which will be similar to what we have got above. Similarly, you can make it tail also. The last 10 values will be printed. Like here you can see the last 10 values of this data set. Dot info will give me three perspectives. How many total rows are there, how many total columns are there, and how many non-null values are there. So in a single command, I get the total number of entries, total column, the data type of each column. All of them is object. Object means a textual format or a string data in this. And 186305 non-null values are there, which indicates I have total rows as 186850 and non-null values are 186305. So that means my data contains NaN values or null values. And as a data analyst, I need to deal with it. Either I have to remove it, either I need to impute it. That's another topic of discussion though. So I need to deal with it. I cannot let it go in my data for predictive modeling, because if you are aiming for predictive modeling, then you must deal with this NaN values beforehand. So .d types can tell me the type of it, which we already got in the first instance only. Then I'm trying to find out the null values in each column. All data dot is null dot sum. So it will give me the total number of null values in each column. So here you can see all of them have 545. So there might be the chances that in this data set, entire row is NaN. Like here you can see the evidence of it. The entire row is NaN value. So we have 545 like this. So there could be chances that there are 545 copies of this. All of them are having equal number. So this is not the scenario in every case. You might have different sort of NaN values in all the columns and you may need to deal with them separately. But for this use case, we will just simply drop using drop NA command. All the NaN values will be dropped from it. And we are saving it back in the all data part. So here you can see 186305, 6. This is the new data that I have. All the 545 values are removed and we are equivalent to 186305. And now you can see total rows are 186305 and non-null values are also same. So there are no null values available in this. Now, if we want to find out the best month for sale, as we have the date column available in this order date. So this is also in string format. So there are two ways, either like keeping the thing simple, I just want to extract out the month from it. So the format of this is month, day, year. I just want this first one. So either you can convert it into date time type of data. Like if you have heard about it, date time data is in which you can directly deal with the date time values, or I can just simply use the split function and all to deal with it. So keeping it simple, I am just using split function over string. And from this, I am selecting the 0th index. So I'm splitting on the basis of this slash out there. So it will give me this particular part if I do it. So I'm creating a function out there, def month, which will actually do it for the entire column for me. So all data month, this is how you create a new column in pandas. Data frame, whatever the new column name you want, equals to the values you want to give to it. But make sure that the number of rows, like if you have 10 rows, then 10 values are provided so that all the rows have a particular value for this new column. Equals to dot apply is used to apply a particular function over the entire column of a data set. Now if I show you, we have got this month column 0404. So in one go, I got the month from this order data. Now you can remove this order data column if you want, or you can keep it. Then checking the data types. Now for getting quantity ordered and price of each for sales part, we know one thing that if we multiply S1 and S2, we cannot do that. Strings cannot be multiplied. So we need to convert it into arithmetic values. So all data month equals to all data month dot as type int. As type is a command used to convert one data type into another in terms of pandas. So we are trying to convert it into integer. And we got an error out this. So let's see what the error is. Invalid literal for int with base 10 order date. So it is showing that there is some value in this column which is order date. So let's see the unique values of this particular all data month column dot unique. And here we can see that these are the unique values involved in this particular column 5, 4, 8, 9 and all. And there's something known as order date as well. So we will drop this particular value by that conditional indexing. And now we will have left out with this much data. So this is my new data that I have, from which I have removed this order data value. So here I have taken the negotiation of it without any particular part. So now if I check the value months count, here you can see these are the values. There is no order value as such. And now if I convert it, conversion has been done, no error. And you can see it is of int type. You can convert it in float as well, whatever you want. So we are creating price of each to float type, because we can have decimal point like $2.5 could be a price of each cell or something. And then we are creating a new column named as sales, quantity ordered into price of each. So this is how we got a new column in which we have all data quantity ordered as type int, and after that we have multiplied both the things. Quantity ordered into price of each. So we have got these values out there. So this is the sales out there. Now what we can do, we can group up the data on the basis of month and we'll get the final value. So all data grouped by month sales dot sum. So these are the values for monthly basis. We can say the revenue generated for each month or the sales done for each month. And if I want to plot it off, then I can simply use plt.bar months and the values for it. By looking at it, we can see that it is the month of December in which we have the maximum sales. And then November is there. So as a data analyst, you need to find out which month is there. Then after this, you need to find out the reasons for it. Now you may relate it with the real time, like as this is a US based data set. So we know that in the month of December, we generally have this Thanksgiving Day and all this Christmas, New Year, all these things are there. So in India, we generally have Diwali as the biggest festival in US. The December's last week is generally where people tend to exchange gifts and all. So that could be one reason why they have this December as a month of the most selling product things. And similarly, 10th is there, which is November. In November, there is generally Halloween and all that Black Friday sale and all that sort of a things is there in November. So this could be the reason that why we have sales higher in this. Right. So in this respect, you can use pandas. Means pandas is a lot of things that are there in pandas that you can deal up with and in an elaborated way. So this is how pandas could be used in for data analytics purpose with the help of Python by writing down the codes and all. If you want to practice more things, then there's something known as a website known as Kaggle. You guys can always visit to this particular website and you can find out n number of data sets available and you can practice the data analytics as up to your skill set that you want to grow up, right? So this is how we can deal up with all these things and in a nutshell. So if you want to learn more aspects of it in more details regarding Python or data analytics, then you guys can visit our website over which you can go through the different courses and all that you can look into, in which we'll be getting a chance to get the live sessions trained by the industry mentors. So there are different courses that are available in terms of embedded system, AI, data analytics, and all. So in whatever program, professional programs or self-learning or internship program you want to deal with, you can just log into the website and you can take up a particular course. And if you want to learn this data analytics aspects in more detail, then you can check out the Python course as well, in which all these things will be covered up in much more detail, right? And this video recording will also be available over YouTube as well. So you guys can just check out to our official YouTube channel. It's a Hexenbit YouTube channel, and over that you can see up all these stuff. Like this is the official YouTube channel of Hexenbit, and you can catch up all the details of the upcoming webinars and all over this. And there are a lot of free tutorials also available over this. There's a bootcamp events playlist where you will find out the recording of this thing within the next week that will be uploaded out there, right? So that's all about this thing that was supposed to be discussed out from my perspective. If anyone is having any query, anyone wants to ask anything, then you can bring up your queries. If guys, anyone have any query, anything anyone wants to ask? Yes, guys, anyone having any query? Okay, I take it up as a no then. So I hope you got a perspective about what data analytics is and how Python could be used. I know keeping the time constraint in mind, the things are more of like you would need to go into the details of it, but keeping it a broader aspect in mind. So it was a webinar where we could introduce you to how Python could be used with data analytics. So I hope you got an idea about that thing, right? So I have some queries, but I would like to ask to it in the next session. Sure, Newton Kumar, you can ask it during the next session, or you can write it down your queries over our mail ID also. So in case if anyone has any queries, you can write us down at training at the rate hexenbit.com, or you guys can reach out to me over LinkedIn as well. So the promotions that you would have got contains my LinkedIn profile as well. So you can reach out to me out there as well. Right. So that's all from my side, guys. We'll see you in the next webinar. We'll be bringing in some more interesting topics in the new future. So that's all from my side. Bye bye. Take care, everyone. Stay safe and keep on learning.